Hi everyone, this is Editing Jess. As our title states for this episode, we are going to be discussing death. And so I wanted to provide a trigger warning for some listeners. We will be discussing mental health. We will be discussing drug abuse. We will be discussing family members who have to deal with the aftermath of death. And so I just want to be sensitive to listeners who may not enjoy those topics. But again, a very interesting episode, and I think a lot of people will enjoy it. So make your decision, and if you choose to continue on from here, I hope you enjoy it. Let's get started. Hi everybody, I'm Jess.
And I'm Kristen.
Welcome to Situations, the Poop Podcast, the shittiest podcast you'll ever hear.
Where we talk about all things poop related, from your crappiest stories to your most pressing questions. So come listen, because we have something for every asshole.
It's like 90% of the people who died in the bathroom or on the toilet died from an overdose.
Or Tywin Lannister, like, shit person died while shitting. Like, I feel like that tracks.
Well, should we kind of talk about what today's episode is supposed to be about?
I think that's great. I know that you were the one who did all the research on this, and I just reviewed, I just kind of skimmed the notes, but I'm very excited to hear everything you have to tell me and react to it.
Well, I just had this thought that came to me because I've heard of a couple famous people dying in the bathroom or specifically on the toilet. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of clicked. I was like, oh, maybe I'll look into this and see, how many people have actually died on the toilet and see if it's worthwhile. Mm-hmm. And there's actually kind of a lot of people who've died in the bathroom or on the toilet, which is kind of surprising. Mm-hmm. Now, I'll preface this by saying they don't actually die from pooping.
Okay. Are there any who died from pooping?
Kind of.
Okay.
Not 100%.
Okay.
But, okay, so I didn't really order them in any specific way, but there are some, more well-known people that I think everyone will know, and then there's some people that are kind of I tried to actually make the gist, the meat and potatoes of the episode, people that we would know and that most of our listeners would know.
Okay.
And then at the bottom, I did make just a small list of other famous people who supposedly died on the toilet.
Like honorary mentions?
Maybe, yeah, and people might know them, people might not. But if people wanted to look into that, I have, just a brief of who they are, their name, who they were, and how they supposedly died on the toilet or in the bathroom. So I think we can start with one of the most notorious or well-known people who died in the bathroom. And this one, I think, is actually most related to the topic of poop based on the information that I found.
Okay.
And death by poop in a certain way, shape, or form. Do you have a guess of who it is?
Is this Elvis?
It is, yeah.
Okay. So it's funny because every time I mentioned to someone that this was the next topic that you were researching, everyone was like, oh, do you know about Elvis? Have you heard about Elvis? Yeah.
So it's kind of a well-known...
I did not know this. I did not know that Elvis died on the toilet.
You had no clue?
I knew that
You had no clue that he had in any way, shape, or form?
I knew that it was overdose related and he died young and all this stuff, but I had no idea it was on the toilet. So please enlighten me.
So I actually don't think that it was overdose related. Well, in a way, it could have been because he was known to be taking a lot of prescription drugs for a lot of his different illnesses, which I think played obviously a significant factor, but it wasn't necessarily he overdosed on heroin or oxy or something. Do you know what I mean?
Interesting. So I didn't know any of this. I actually assumed it was a recreational kind of drug or something, or I didn't realize he actually had medical issues that needed drugs.
Yeah, so actually, I don't think that Elvis Presley's coroner report has actually been officially released to the public.
Ooh.
I think it was kind of held back. I don't know why. I have to look further into that, too.
So do you know what the different things he was taking drugs, what was going on with him that he needed all these medications?
Okay, so this says it's his official toxicology report and the autopsy report are not going to be released for public view until 2027.
Interesting.
But I don't know why. Well, the other thing is I think he was such a famous person that I have a feeling that something regarding his estate and trust and things like that maybe prevented the reason why. I don't think people wanted to taint his music and just his whole freaking empire. You know, I don't think they necessarily wanted to send that information out to put him in a bad light because he was so loved, and I think it probably would have been detrimental to his music and the sales of his music, and I think there's probably a factor of that going into why they withheld it. But it says, despite his deteriorating health, exterior, yada yada, it says the family saw the speculation that followed his death and put an order to seal the singer's autopsy report for 50 years. So I think basically it was going to be presumed the reasons that he died were not going to be favorable for him, so they chose to withhold the release of that information to the public.
Okay.
Again, I think for like probably they didn't want detrimental views for his empire and who he was and his character and all of that. But it was weird too because a lot of this stuff was kind of already known. Like it wasn't, you know, I mean, you could tell too, he was like such a good looking guy in his younger years, and then he like gained a lot of weight and he like really didn't look good, and I think he had a lot of anxiety, and the same thing with a lot of people in that industry. I don't think they felt like they had a lot of friends or a lot of people to turn to. I think he had a lot of mental health issues, so he started taking medication for those kind of things, but then he was also drinking a lot, and then because of that he was taking other medication, and then because of all the medication he was severely constipated, so then he was taking more medication for the constipation.
Wow.
So he was like overloading his system with all kinds of like drugs and alcohol, but prescription drugs that but the other thing that sucks is there were people that in his life that probably shouldn't have been prescribing those drugs because they knew how bad it was for him and helped him, but a lot of people weren't doing that. They were just like, he's my ticket to fame or he's my money mule kind of a thing, so they were going to just keep doing it until he...
Also, I wondered too, because it was the 70s, right? Or I guess 60s. And so that was a huge, right? I guess medically, right? The things they used to do back then, we've proven a lot of it is like not as good now. So how much of it is, like you said, it's people being like, he's my ticket to fame, I'm just going to prescribe him something to say that I am his doctor, or how much of it is just like poor medical science that was not the best back then, where they were like, it's fine to mix these things, and now
That's true.
50 years
That's
later
very
they're
true.
like, we should not have done that.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Back to the ADHD thing for a second. I saw something where it was like, I'm getting a lot of Victorian doctor vibes for ADHD treatments now, because it's basically like, you know, all the monkeys in my brain are keeping me from focusing on the things I do. Here, let me give you a shit ton of meth to try to fix it. And it's like, sounds a lot like you have ghosts in your blood. Here's cocaine. Like,
Here's a leech.
same.
We'll just suck out the sickness. Actually, you know they still use leeches in medical
I did know that,
medical
yeah.
terms. Well, it's like more for people who have like, you know, they've done like if someone's finger got amputated and they're reattaching it, they do it to help the blood flow, and then or if someone has like frostbite, they'll attach it to help the blood flow, things like that, or like skin grafts.
I didn't know about the frostbite one.
Skin grafts, I think they do it. It's like mostly to help the blood flow so that they keep that tissue alive and recreate new blood vessels and things. So interesting. It would probably freak me out a little bit, but it's cool that they still use that stuff. So it's not totally wrong, you know? It's like there are certain things that stand the test of time in terms of medical intervention. But okay, so Elvis Presley. His official cause of death is a heart attack.
Okay.
He died in 1977 at the age of 43.
Bummer.
Pretty young. I didn't think he was that young. I thought he was in his 50s. So he had, like we talked about, he did have an abuse of prescription drugs and severe constipation because of that. He had an enlarged colon. One doctor said that he had the arteries of an 80-year-old.
Oh
I
my
think
God.
because of like his so you know too, like one of his favorite meals is supposedly like peanut butter and jelly with bacon.
I mean, that sounds great.
That's supposedly, like, if you go to restaurants, like, I think some restaurants or, like, diners will name it, like, the Elvis or the Elvis Presley, because that was, like, one of his preferred meals, which obviously that amount of peanut butter and bacon is probably also not going to help your constipation.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I think that was, like, one of his most favorite eating things. But there's certain information that came out from his post-mortem examination, so they didn't release the whole full official report, but obviously some of the doctors that were involved released certain information that they had. And one doctor that viewed his body said his unhealthy eating habits led to severe constipation, and the post-mortem examination revealed 4 months worth of stool compacted in his bowel. Obviously, I don't know if this is necessarily true, but 4 months, I don't even know if that's plausible. But if someone, I think about it, and if someone is like It's almost like when you eat more and more and more and your stomach stretches, right? So it can be extremely dangerous to hold in poop because you can like burst your bowels and then all of those feces go and make your blood toxic and you can die from that.
So I have a question. Is that what caused the enlarged colon, or is the enlarged colon from something else?
I think it was probably a combination of almost like Crohn's, of like taking all these medications and having a poor diet, but then mixed with him being severely constipated. I think all of those things played a factor. I don't think it was just one
4 months. So do we think that means that he didn't poop for 4 months, or he was pooping but it wasn't enough to like, and it was still backing up?
I would guess the second one, but I don't know. But I'm also shocked that 4 months, like you can go that long with that amount of impact on your bowel, because from what I've heard is like, it doesn't take very long for you to have to go to the doctor to have them help you move that through your body, because like your intestines can
get an enema
burst. Yeah, it's crazy. So I'm assuming that the more often that went on, the more it stretched his colon so it was able to withstand more and more. I mean, it's kind of crazy what the human body can do. But supposedly.
The first time I ever heard about that, like someone being so constipated they just don't poop. I met a girl in college who she was having issues with that, and she would go a couple weeks without having to poop. And I was convinced, like I would visualize that it would come out your mouth, like that it would just backtrack up your right, like digestive system. Like the idea that it could just continue expanding your intestines and your colon and stuff, and it would just pack up in there. Yeah. I was convinced that it would just keep filling all the way back up your body.
Which is so funny. Which you would, it seems like a logical thought, but do you know there's a crazy amount of sphincters in the human body?
I did know this, yeah. And between the acid and stuff.
And I think that's one of the main reasons that it doesn't do that is because all of those sphincters in your body close off sections, and they're so strong that they don't allow that to happen.
That makes sense.
But yeah, kind of crazy. It is widely presumed that he did die from drug overdose, so it's a common misconception. Like I said, it's one of those where did drugs play a factor 100%, but he didn't actually officially die from drug overdose. It wasn't like he went in the bathroom and like took a bunch of pills and died that way.
Right, or shot up and whatever.
Yes. Again, the official report hasn't been released, but it's widely reported that Elvis died from cardiac arrhythmia and irregular heartbeat, possibly brought on by drug dependency, obesity, and a weak heart. But the music legend's longtime friend and physician, Dr. George Nick, I don't know how to pronounce this. It's Nichopoulos. It almost sounds Greek to me. Nicolopoulos, maybe? Yeah. Okay. So we're probably butchering that. I apologize to whoever this man is. But Dr. George Nick, and they called him Nick. Dr. Nick.
All right, Dr. Nick.
Dr. Nick, let's just say that. He put pen to paper for the first time and revealed his belief that it was a chronic constipation that actually killed the king of rock and roll.
Wow.
So.
Sorry, the dog is. Hold on. Stop it. Okay, so Dr. Nick is convinced that he died from chronic constipation.
Yes. Which, I mean, think about the amount of strain that's on your body. If you can't poop and then you're constantly straining to poop when you try to go, and the level of stress that puts on your body, that would put that same stress on your heart, and then you're not eating healthy and you're taking all these pills. Like I said, I don't think it was one thing. I think all of these factors just built up, and then, the straw that finally broke the camel's back. So the other thought, this is not necessarily fact, but it was suggested that he needed to have a surgery to help with the impact on his bowels. So essentially they would have to go in, cut open his bowels, empty all of the poop from his bowels, and then sew him back up. But because of his significantly poor health, no doctor wanted to do it because he was so famous that no one wanted to be responsible for the person that killed Elvis. So it was like
he died
nobody
on the table.
actually, yes, which was a very significant concern because his heart was in poor condition. He was overweight. He was taking all of these medications. He was drinking a lot of alcohol, and he had let this severe constipation go on for so long that they really were concerned that he wasn't going to make it out of the surgery. So nobody wanted to do it.
That makes so much sense. I didn't even consider that too. I'm like, why wouldn't the doctors have done something about it? But there's, right?
Nobody wanted to be the person that killed Elvis. He was such a famous person that they were like, I don't want that to be my legacy. It's like the doctor who killed Elvis, so nobody really wanted to do it.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is another crazy fact, which is wild. But according to Dr. Nick, the autopsy revealed that Presley's colon was 5 to 6 inches in diameter, where the normal width is 2 to 3 inches. And instead of being the standard 4 to 5 feet long, his colon was 8 to 9 feet in length. I don't know if this is true. This is all, like I said, this is all stuff we found online. Dr. Nick was supposedly one of his main physicians, and he was quoted in saying this.
Oh my God. So
I don't even understand. I know.
for everyone listening, I was literally shocked silent there. My mouth just dropped open and stayed that way as she said that. 5 to 6 inches wide? That's like, what do I have that's like 5 inches wide? Like I don't even think my Nalgene. I think my Nalgene's like 3 inches. Like, his colon was thicker than my Nalgene.
Well, the diameter. So, like, around. You know what I mean? Not across.
No, that's the circumference. The diameter is straight across.
Okay, that doesn't seem right either. Because 2 to 3 inches in diameter, that doesn't seem right for
I believe that.
I don't. 2 inches? Like, your colon is in your body, and I, like, think this is probably, like, that's like an inch.
That's an inch.
Like, I don't think,
right.
I think this is probably misquoted then, because I feel like diameter is the wrong word. I think circumference is more what we're going to. Like, I'm assuming the circumference.
Diameter of a human colon. We're looking it up.
Oh, but I'm also thinking, so that's the other thing. It says colon and not intestines.
Yeah. So the colon is the last part. It's
Okay,
like from
so
your
that makes
butthole
sense.
up to yeah. In terms of diameter, the cecum is the widest, averaging the slightly less than 9 centimeters in healthy individuals. And the transverse colon, hold on, I'm going to pull up a diagram so I have, let me share my screen so we both can look at this diagram. Okay. All right. Oh, no, I lied. That's the rectum. So descending colon. Okay, so I lied. The colon is not. I was thinking of the rectum. The colon is basically the big intestine.
Ascending colon, transverse colon.
Descending colon.
So it goes up, across, back down.
Yeah. Yep. So So your small intestine connects to your colon. Let's see. The transverse colon, so the one that goes across, averages less than 6 centimeters. The descending and sigmoid colon are slightly smaller, with the sigmoid colon averaging 4 to 5 centimeters, up to 2 inches. So yeah, it's your colon's thick.
Okay, up to 2 inches. That's wild. Yeah, very interesting. But that's crazy. Just because of how long he had impacted poop in there, it just stretched and stretched and stretched, which was absolutely. I cannot imagine how uncomfortable this man felt on a daily basis.
I know. I mean, hell, I have IBS issues, and I was having constipation problems, and that's kind of how I started figuring out and like getting my stuff diagnosed. And I got an x-ray, and sure enough, she showed the constipation. She was like, you have some significant backup. I forget how long she kind of suspected it might be, how long it's been backing up for. Clearly not 4 months. But yeah, it's painful. There's sharp, a lot of it feels
Yeah, it's so uncomfortable.
like period cramps, because the colon is kind of occupies the same cavity that your uterus does. So a lot of those muscles, you feel it in the same space. But then there's like really sharp pains that just will cripple you. So yeah, he must have been suffering.
So uncomfortable. Okay, so, I mean, we're obviously went into talking about a lot of the facts about him and his person and, you know, how he was living and autopsy report, but how he was officially found. So he went to the bathroom, and it was presumed that he sat down on the toilet and was straining to poop, and in his attempt at pooping, he put so much strain on his body and his heart that he had a heart attack. And his girlfriend at the time, Ginger Allen, found him a few feet away from the toilet, I think on his face with his butt like in the air. So he essentially sat down to poop, strained to poop, and then fell forward when he had the heart attack and died. And she, I think, tried to, administer CPR. They called 911, all the things. And so he actually might be the only person who did die by poop.
Wow.
I know.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine? That's a terrifying way to go. Like, it's embarrassing. It's like so
His ghost is mortified.
vulnerable. It's like, you know, actually, this could go into another episode, but there's a lot of people who have anxiety around pooping for multiple different reasons, and this is one of them. They're terrified. Like, what if someone breaks into the house and you have your pants down? Or what if you die on the toilet and you're in such a compromising position? I think about it in the shower, and if I'm home alone, I'm like, God forbid, hopefully nobody breaks in and I have to defend myself butt ass naked.
Or like a fire happens, and you're like naked.
You're just
whatever.
scrambling naked. It's like, no, thank you.
Well, also as a partner, right? As the girlfriend coming in to find him that way. I don't know how intimate some people are in their relationships. I know there's different levels. Like once you've been dating for 5 years, people poop in front of each other, don't care, whatever. But like some people, that's also like a relationship barrier. The bathroom door is closed. I'm going to leave you in there. You're doing your thing. To be so concerned for someone that I'm coming in, like I haven't heard from you. You've been in there a long time. And then just to find them dead on the toilet, like right off the toilet.
So unfortunate. And then the other thing that sucks is when you die, your body, like all the muscles and everything in your body just let loose and you essentially do pee and poop yourself. Your body just evacuates all of those fluids. It does. Poop killed Elvis Presley. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, obviously he had a heart attack, so don't come at me, everybody, but poop played a significant factor of how Elvis Presley died.
Well, you know what? In 2 years, when the results are 2 years from recording this episode, when the results are released, we'll do a follow-up episode, and we'll go more in depth once we can actually see the
about report. Just Elvis. That's a great idea. I would love to do that. Okay, should we move on? Do you have any questions about Elvis? And
no, like I said, I didn't realize that those were the details of his life and how he went. It is unfortunate. Rest in peace to the king. Yeah, who's next?
Okay, we'll move on to the next person. I think you're going to be surprised by this one.
Okay.
Judy Garland.
Interesting. Yeah, she, again, another one, I know she died very young, and drugs are assumed to be part of it.
Yes, correct.
For anyone who doesn't recognize the actor name, Judy Garland is...
best known for Wizard of Oz.
She was a singer.
Which is so sad. She was beautiful and so talented. Again, so talented. And her life, though, was just stressful and depressing and, felt lonely. And she turned to so many drugs and they partied a lot. And her official cause of death was overdose. And she died in 1969 at the age of 47.
47. Oh,
also
my
so
God.
Young. I know.
I do remember seeing footage of her. She definitely looks a lot older in her later work before her death, like in her 30s. She looks like she's in her late 40s or 50s, and just
probably because of the amount of substances
the drugs.
That she was doing.
Yeah. And she definitely was taken advantage of when she was a child actor and was a young star. So it's no wonder. But anyway, so continue.
But then she actually, I think she lost a lot of work for a long time because she was so unreliable because of the drugs. And then I think she kind of came back around and started getting a little bit more work in her later years. And then obviously this happened. But the autopsy was conducted by the London coroner, Dr. Gavin Thurston. The official cause of death was listed as barbiturate poisoning. Quintobarbital, it sounds like.
Yeah, what are barbiturates? I hear that a lot.
Barbiturates... You're looking it up?
Yeah. Sedative hypnotic medications, meaning they cause you to feel relaxed or sleepy.
So anti-anxiety meds, most likely.
Or, they use for insomnia, migraines, seizures, so a number of stuff. That's from the Cleveland Clinic.
Yeah. It says incautious self-overdose accidental. So incautious, I'm assuming, meaning either she palmed a handful of them or was regularly taking them not as prescripted, because incautious,
Yeah.
I think that's self-explanatory. But supposedly, Judy Garland's ex-husband, Sid Luft, a film producer at the time, alleged that she attempted suicide on at least 20 different occasions, beginning at the age of 28.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So sad. 20 different occasions. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure there was some level of intervention. And actually, she was hospitalized on many occasions for different health crises, ranging from nervous breakdowns or injuries after literally falling down drunk and laryngitis and vocal problems. But I cannot imagine.
Yeah. Well, and again, that was even earlier in the 1900s. So mental health help was not really a thing back then. All of those kinds of intervention wasn't a help. And she was like, right, she was pushed into these drugs. I'm looking at something right now because I had heard this, but I didn't want to say it without confirmation. But according to Get Happy, The Life of Judy Garland biographer Gerald Clark, so it was a book about Judy Garland's life, her mother was the first person to give her meds to basically stay high energy for performing as a child star.
Fucked up.
Yeah, her mother was feeding her pills to be like, come on, you can't be tired, you gotta keep working. And so even before Wizard of Oz, and then by that point she was addicted to them.
That's so sad. So fucked up. I mean, like you said, there's so much we've learned now, so I don't want to say that her mom knew what she was doing, because who knows what kind of,
For sure.
Been like, oh, it's fine back then, and now we have so much more information. But yeah, it's so fucked up. It's so sad, especially for somebody like Judy Garland. She was so beautiful and had so much talent, and it's just so sad that that's how it ends. But yeah, so her official overdose, I don't remember if it was during a party, or if she was just at home, but she went to the bathroom, and her, I think, boyfriend at the time was the one who found her, but they found her sitting on the toilet with her head, like, in her hands, dead.
Oh my God.
So I think she went, and took something, and she basically just died on the toilet. So I don't think she was attempting to go to the bathroom. I think she went in there to take some pills and had sat down, and she died like that. So she died sitting up on the toilet.
Wow.
Super sad.
Yeah.
So no poop involved in this one, but.
Talking about people finding you on the toilet, I feel like that's even worse than Elvis, because Elvis is like, he's on the ground, you recognize something's wrong, right? You're going to go up and be like, oh my God, something happened. Because I feel like I've fallen asleep on the toilet before like that. You have your elbows kind of resting on your knees and you just head in your hands. So to walk up to someone and you kind of have that moment of like, are you all right? And you realize they're very much not.
Yeah, but do you think there's a level of sixth sense that comes with that, where you almost know, especially for someone in her position? I feel like they walked in and like immediately just knew that she was gone.
But I just mean as an individual, right? There's like the logical part of your brain and the emotional part of your brain where I think when you see it, but you don't want to believe what you know, right? There's that like, yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, super sad. Okay, on to the next. So, Coolio the rapper, birth name Artist Leon Ivy Jr., official cause of death, fentanyl overdose, died in 2022, so the most recent, at age 59.
I don't know who Coolio the rapper is.
You know the song Gangster's Paradise? That's like one of his most famous songs.
I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Once you hear it, you're gonna know it. It's a super famous song.
Yeah, so I'm terrible with music. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah, I'm like that too. Couldn't tell you who sang it or the name of the song, but I'm like, oh yeah, I know. And I'll know some of the words in it, but I won't. Yeah, I'm like that too. He was nominated for 5 Grammys during his career that began in the late 1980s. So when he died and they did his autopsy report, he had traces of heroin and methamphetamines in his system and had a history of severe asthma and cigarette smoking, which obviously
it doesn't help
wasn't
each other.
great and definitely played a factor in his death and his body's basically inability to fight back whatever was going on with the drugs he was taking. He was found also in the bathroom, found on the bathroom floor at his friend's house on September 28th, this was in 2022, according to initial reports at the time of his death. So when they first found him, the paramedics assumed it was cardiac arrest, but then upon further inspection and his autopsy report, they found out it was actually overdose. But yeah, he basically just told his friend, I'm going to go to the bathroom, and I think after like 20 or 30 minutes, his friend was like, he hasn't come out yet, and they went looking for him, and he had died on the bathroom floor. These people who have so much fame, and they have so much like accolades, and they have... Is that the right word? Accolades?
I think so, yeah. Accolades.
Yeah. They just have such a history, and they have so much that they've given to the world and their art and all these different things, and then to have just died in such a sad, kind of lonely way. It's really depressing, It just makes me feel for them even more.
Which I feel like it's way more common for people in that position, right? For celebrities. The stress of all of it is way too much, and yeah.
The more I was reading into a lot of this stuff, it's like 90% of the people who died in the bathroom or on the toilet died from an overdose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And sure, there are celebrities that you might like or might not like, but ultimately I feel really bad for them because they are still people, and the public feels so entitled to their life and their everyday. And anytime a person, a celebrity is wearing, absolute garbage clothes and they just want to go to the grocery store, like, dude, like, I'm just trying to buy some stuff. Like, I just need some toilet paper. Can you leave me alone? And people are like, why do you look like shit? Why do this? I don't know. Like, do you put on 8 tons of makeup before you go grocery shopping? Like, I usually go grocery shopping looking like a piece of shit. So the fact that they're held to this godlike standard for every day of their life, it's one thing where their job is super stressful, but then just their everyday existence is constantly scrutinized.
And then because of who they are, everyone just wants a piece of that pie, right? It's so rare to actually find genuine friends who care about you aside from everything that you are and that you can offer them. So then it really does make it just such a lonely existence, It's kind of a conundrum.
Yeah, so many people are upset because some celebrities are dicks when you go up and ask them for a photo. Like, yeah, they're on the sidewalk doing their own thing. They had a plan for the day. If they said yes to every single person who wanted a photo with them, they'd probably get nothing done. And, like, I'm super glad there are celebrities out there who are super nice and always willing to, but I don't blame the people who are dicks and they're like, no, leave me alone. Like, yeah. I get it.
Like, I've had enough. Everybody's coming up to me all the time asking for things. It's like, I just want to have a peaceful moment by myself. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, this person is going to be probably less known for a majority of people. He was not as famous to me when I looked him up, but his name is Christopher Michael Henry Shale. His official cause of death was heart attack. He died in 2011 at the age of 56. He was a British businessman and conservative politician, so he's probably well known in the British community. Okay. He was chairman of the West Oxfordshire Conservative Association and a close associate of Prime Minister and local MP David Cameron, who praised him for his massive contribution to the Conservative Party, both locally and nationally. So in Europe, he's probably a really famous person. Some of our listeners might know who he is, but I didn't at first. But this one is like, kind of sucks. One of the worst, I think. I mean, obviously, all of these deaths suck, but this one was really unfortunate. He died in a porta potty at the Glastonbury Festival.
Oh, no!
I know.
Oh, the last place I would want to die.
I know.
Oh.
And a heart attack.
He was at a music festival?
Glastonbury Festival. Let's actually look up specifically what Glastonbury Festival is. Glastonbury Festival of Contemporary Performing Art, known as Glastonbury, is a 5-day festival held near Pilton, Somerset, England. It's a major event known for its music, performing arts, and installations attracting around 200,000 attendees. Yeah, so he died in a porta potty. Fucking terrifying. But he died of a heart attack, so I'm assuming it's in the summer usually, so it's probably hot, if you're already not of great health, or your heart's not great, you're in there, and who knows if I don't know if he was actually straining to poop or if he had really terrible medical background, but he did die on the toilet in the porta potty.
Yeah, maybe he just had a pre-existing condition.
Yeah.
Ugh, my God. So you made me think of this, and now I'm curious. You saw the TV show Ghosts, right? We talked about this. You like the British one? Mm-hmm. Right? There is that, I guess, prime minister who died with no pants on, and I don't remember if it was from pooping or not, but do you think that was based on this or the real character?
I wouldn't be maybe. That's actually really good. I wonder if you could look into that and see. He was an athlete, played rugby, was an asthmatic. He was in the army.
Oh, so he had sounds like he had a relatively healthy life.
And an active lifestyle, too. And it's not really telling, like, I would assume that if he had significant issues, that it would be known, you know what I mean? Like, Elvis, it was like he was known to have a really unhealthy lifestyle. And he looked like he wasn't, you look at pictures of him, he was like wasn't significantly overweight. So I don't think he, really had anything significant in terms of his health. And he sounded like he was a really loved person, too.
Well, that's good to know.
Adept at making friends, light up a room with his impressible humor. Somehow some politicians, people are not fond of. It seems like this guy was, really well-loved and did a lot for the community, and this was just, a really unfortunate circumstance. He just happened to be at this festival and went to the bathroom and died by a heart attack, and they found him on the porta potty.
Oh, my God.
I know. One of his most well-known ventures was he had worked with Andrew Mitchell, the International Development Secretary, on a Conservative Party project to help Rwandans get back on their feet after the devastating genocide in the East African country in 1994 by aiding the restoration of public services, justice, education, and business enterprise.
Wow. Oh, my God.
Yeah, so he did, like, a lot of really good things, and it seems like he was really well-loved. I mean, I apologize to, anyone in Britain if I have that wrong. If he was not well loved, I don't know, but it seems like from what I've read that he really was. But also what takes the cake of this whole thing, guess how long he was missing before they actually found him?
Oh my God. Please tell me it's under a day.
Barely.
20 hours.
Slightly less.
18 hours. Oh my God.
He was missing for 18 hours before someone found him. Which is also kind of crazy that at a festival, nobody's going to use that same porta potty in 18 hours.
Think about it, though.
If it's locked and people just keep going. But it's like, I feel like to a certain extent, the amount of lines.
Have you ever been to a festival?
Yes.
Like it's moving fast. Everyone's distracted by something else. Like if that porta potty's occupied, so you go to the next one. Like no one's paying, like the people who interact with that porta potty are not sticking around long enough to realize that porta potty hasn't changed. They probably just keep coming back and be like, oh, it's occupied again. Like, right? Like, all
right, you have a point.
So it's just like,
That's true.
My God, 18 hours.
I know, 18 hours. Especially, this is what I mean. For these people to have done these great things for the world and the community and to put forth this art and all these different things, and then that's how they get to go. It's like, really? The world didn't have something better in mind for them? It's just so unfortunate,
That's a great question, right? For the universe. Like, why?
Think of all the ways to go. Why that way?
You watch Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
Tywin Lannister, like, shit person, died while shitting. I feel like that tracks. That is a universal, that's a karmic matchup. I was telling someone about this episode that we were doing this, and she asked about that. She was like, wasn't there like a king or someone like that actually happened to someone? He like died while he was on the toilet, and like I think he got shot, right? And I was like, are you talking about Game of Thrones?
I'm sure there is. I mean, actually, I do have someone. I do have a king that died on the toilet.
Oh, okay.
I do. Actually, is he the next one? He is the next one.
Wow, look at that.
Natural
what are the segue.
Okay, so we'll move on. I'm so sorry for Christopher Michael Henry Shale. So sad. 18 hours, though. Oh, in a porta potty. Okay, moving on to the next one. George II of Great Britain. Official cause of death, aortic dissection. Died in 1760 at the age of 77, which is actually fantastic considering the year. I don't think it was common for people to live that long back then, right? Mm-hmm.
77?
Yeah, that's old.
Yeah, that's impressive.
So, a little background on him. King George married Princess Caroline of Ansbach, with whom he had 8 children. George I, his father, died in June of 1727 during one of his visits to Hanover, and George II succeeded him as king and the elector at age 43. What happened was at 6 a.m., supposedly, he drank a cup of hot chocolate. This was like his normal daily routine, by the way, from what I've read online. He drank a cup of hot chocolate, went to his closed stool, which actually Matt just got one from Antonian.
Oh,
That's
no
a
way.
closed stool. Yes, it's a chair that has a hole in it for you to poop through. It's
That's
a fixed or a
awesome.
portable toilet, basically a chair with a toilet seat. So that's what Antonian just gave Matt. It's called the closed stool. Went to that. After a few minutes, his valet heard a loud crash and entered the room to find the king on the floor. His physician, Frank Nichols, recorded that he appeared to have just come from his necessary stool. So as if, like, basically taking a poop. And as if going to open his escritoire, I don't know how to pronounce that. It's essentially a small writing desk with drawers. And the king was lifted to his bed. Then Princess Amelia was sent for, and she reached him. By the time she got to him, he was officially dead. So it sounds like he attempted to poop, and in straining to poop, the aortic dissection officially ruptured. And I don't know if he got up to go catch himself on something else or what happened, but he hit the floor. the guy came in and found him like that. They got the doctor. And then Princess Amelia, I don't know if she was his daughter or if that was who, if he remarried at some point. I should look into that.
So wait, who officially found him? His, like, servant?
His like valet, like essentially the guy who helps him dress every day, like his personal assistant back then. Shit.
What?
So, Princess Amelia was the 15th and last child and 6th daughter of King George III.
King George the Third or the Second?
It says the third.
Is there another Amelia?
Not to be confused with Princess Amelia of Great Britain. Okay, let's see who this is. Princess Amelia of Great Britain was the second. Okay, here we go. So she was his daughter. She was this. Okay, guys, retracting my earlier statement. But still 15th. Goddamn, praise that woman and her fucking vagina. Especially back then. I'm shocked that she made it through that many births without dying. Medical treatment was not great. Okay, so Princess Amelia, the one who was brought to King George when he died, she was his second daughter.
Okay.
Between him and Queen Caroline.
Bummer.
So she basically was brought to her dad, but by the time she reached him, he was dead as a doornail. So that was really sad. But at the age of nearly 77, he had lived longer than any of his English or British predecessors. I think he lived probably longer than a lot of people at that time.
Sounds like he had a great life. 77 is,
I mean,
very
I
impressive.
don't necessarily know how great his life was, but the fact that he lived that long is pretty impressive. But, I mean, this is also impressive for the time to know this type of medical information. I mean, I don't know a lot about history and how
for them to
knowledge came along, but for them to know. Because it says a post-mortem revealed that King George II had died as a result of a thoracic aortic dissection, a tear. So
I wonder if they called it the same thing or if they called it something different and then historians, like, look back on it and
maybe,
like, adjust their understanding of whatever the notes were. Yeah. Or maybe they did call it the same thing.
Yeah, who knows? But, yeah. So this one is also more related to actually going to the bathroom. So far we have 3. And Elvis is the most, I think, closely related because of the fact that he had impacted bowels.
Wow.
Super crazy.
I do have some follow-up notes about this. So I really enjoy a lot of period dramas and TV shows, movies, and they actually help me to understand history better. So for anyone who doesn't know this, King George, his successor was King George III, right? His son.
So King George, so there's King George I who died, and then King George II, who we're talking about, was his successor, and now she is talking about his son, King George III. Correct?
Yes, and not King George III...
Not his brother, right? It's his actual son, King George III.
I believe so, yeah. Okay. He is the king who was around for the Revolutionary War. So if you watch Hamilton and the dude in the powdered wig comes out and screaming and stuff, that's King George III, so the son of this man we're talking about. And also,
he's the one who had 15 kids.
Yes. And also, he was the one known as Mad King George. He's the one featured in Bridgerton. So Queen Charlotte, everyone loves Queen Charlotte in Bridgerton. King George III is that husband to her. And so anyone who loves Queen Charlotte in Bridgerton, we're talking about her father-in-law who died on the toilet.
Yeah. So going back, that's very interesting information. So yeah, to kind of get your timelines and who these people are. So I'm going to go back to King George II, who we're talking about, who died on the toilet or on his closed stool. This is, I don't know if this is morbid or kind of sweet and romantic. I, in a weird way, kind of think it's a little romantic, so forgive me, people, if everyone, don't judge me. But he left instructions for the sides of his and his wife's coffins to be removed so that their remains could mingle. How cute is that?
Oh, wait, that's super cute.
I know. I mean, hopefully she actually liked him, because otherwise that would just be torture in the afterlife, but who knows?
Right.
So if she did like him, I think that's really cute and really sweet, but if she hated him, then that's a really sadistic, fucked up thing to do.
Yes, true. If he knew that she hated him, but...
Isn't that cute, though? I think he did.
I think that's super cute.
I'm
a hopeless romantic. And You hear so many stories of monarchs who just, they just get married and just to have an heir.
Have an heir.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. So many stories where, like, they weren't in love and he had some other mistress that he actually was in love with. So the idea that he was like, no, I want to snuggle with my wife for eternity. That's adorable.
Cute. I know, right? I thought it was really cute. I put it in there. And so we'll end that on a happy note. Supposedly.
Excellent.
Hopefully it's a happy note.
Yeah.
If anybody has information regarding any of these people, by the way, feel free to write in and let us know because we would love to talk about it. Okay, so the last person for the episode, this person did not actually die on the toilet, but they did die in the bathroom, specifically the bathtub. Do you have a guess?
Someone who died in the bathtub. Can you give me a hint? Like, are they a movie star or, like, a political person?
The Bodyguard. The movie The Bodyguard.
Not Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
She died in the tub.
Yes. So hers is still, there's a lot of factors I think that still go into it. So essentially, Whitney Houston, the official cause of death was, again, this is like, she's super famous. You can find a lot of this information online. I hope I'm not getting any of this wrong. If I am, I apologize. Obviously, Whitney Houston is so beloved. She was amazing, and her music to this day is still like some of my favorite. But her official cause of death, accidental drowning with the effects of atherosclerotic heart disease and cocaine use as contributing factors. She died in 2012 at the age of 48. And we also know, it's pretty well known, Whitney Houston obviously did a lot of drugs and, struggled with a lot of her, the mental health and being in that industry. And so it's super sad, especially because she was amazing and her music was so fucking good. Like, everybody knows Whitney Houston. She's the fucking best. So
Dance
sad.
with Somebody is my favorite song.
Yeah, it's
for
so
weddings.
good. It's like, yeah. Have you seen there's like thing going around? I think it's TikTok right now. And Whitney Houston, it's one of her songs. They play the song and they have to tap the table or hit like a bowl when she's gonna start singing.
Oh,
it's
that's
the one that's
fun.
like what song is it? But let me see if I can. I won't pull it up now. It's gonna take
The
me too long.
And I Will Love You one?
Yes, and it's.
Because there's a pause. There's like a
Yes,
beat
it's
before
yes.
she does that.
So it's a thing right now on TikTok. She's so famous. She's gonna be famous for forever. Again,
That's one of those
devastating,
songs-
because she was like, it's so sad. Like, such a talented person, everybody loved, and to die like this is so sad.
Dance with Somebody is one of those songs that I get livid when DJs like fuck
Change
with
it.
it and like, it's a perfect song. Put it on, go take a 3-minute break, and then come back later.
Yeah. Leave it. Don't fuck with Whitney Houston. God damn it. Yeah. Don't fuck with Whitney Houston. So sad. She sold more than 200 million recordings worldwide. Won 8 Grammy Awards. I know. She was 19 when Arista Records chief Clive David signed her to a recording contract. So 19 is when she like really took off. Her self-titled debut album was released in 1985 and spent 3 years on the Billboard 200 albums chart, including 14 weeks at number 1. It sold 25 million copies worldwide. That was just her first album.
That's crazy.
I know. In 2011, Houston entered a rehab facility for the second time, acknowledging her issues with drugs and alcohol, so she had attempted to get help. In addition to her musical legacy, Houston was renowned for her philanthropy and social activism. Her Whitney Houston Foundation for Children, it's still ongoing. But she actually died at the hotel that everyone was staying at the weekend of the Grammys.
She died during the Grammys.
Yes. So she was, it was actually, you can look this up. It was actually really well known. It was a crazy situation. So the night before, there was some event, and I think she hosted too, or was supposed to host in some fashion. Yeah. And there was an event the night before, I'm pretty sure, or the day of. There's like a whole weekend thing. So the night before, I think she did show up. They partied, they did whatever. The next day, I'm pretty sure she was supposed to, I could have this timeline wrong, so forgive me, everybody. But she went to get ready, and her personal assistant essentially left her to get ready, like shower, do whatever. So when they found her, she actually had burn marks on her as well, because the water from the tub was so hot that it actually scalded her skin. So they think that what might have happened, based on the amount of drugs and alcohol she was using and the cocaine use and all those things, they think that because of the severe temperature of the water, it did something to her, and she basically passed out and then drowned in the tub. But They presume she either had a seizure or cardiac arrhythmia and fell into the tub, so her official cause of death was drowning, but they think that's what happened. The water was so hot, and her using all these drugs and, maybe just being lightheaded, the extreme variation in her blood vessels. What do you call that? It's called not vasoconstriction,
Dilation.
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 So I think probably, yeah. So I'm assuming because of the severe hot water and like the rush of like blood to her brain or something, like, and mixed with all the drugs and alcohol that she'd been using, basically caused her to have something happen, and then she passed out and drowned in the tub. And then I forget how they found her too, but I think it was her personal assistant who found her. It was one of those things where she went in to check on her and then was like, oh shit, and took her from the tub, and I think they called 911. But everyone was there, so everyone who's essentially supposed to be attending the Grammys was staying at the same hotel, and it was like this huge thing. The news reporters were checking it because everyone was getting ready for the Grammys, and then she got carted out in a stretcher in front of everyone.
So we're assuming that she basically was trying to make herself a bath, and you start with hot water and then you kind of walk away while you're doing stuff, and then she fell in before she was ready to actually get
I don't think she fell in. I think she, again, a lot of this is presumed. They're not 100% sure. But they also think she could have had heart disease based on her cocaine and alcohol use. So I think she just had a weak heart. And then that combined with, not eating right and partying. And then who knows if I forget what they did find in her system. I think they did find a small level of, anti-anxiety meds in her system. Yeah, so she didn't actually die on the toilet. But again, it was, drugs related. But hers is a really famous one. You can find the videos and stuff of her being carted out of the hotel. Devastating for everyone. But I have another really interesting, really sad piece of information, is that her daughter, Bobby Christina Brown, was also found dead in the bathtub. This was I think 2 or 3 years after she died.
Wow. Do you think it was something poetic that she was trying gonna go out the same way my mom did?
I don't know. I don't think people really know. But she died at the age of 22, and I think it was only 3 years after her mom died. But she was found in a similar way, and I don't really know the extent of that. Let's look up her official cause of death. She was found unconscious in a bathtub in her home after ingesting numerous drugs and alcohol, a fate similar to that of her mother's. After being in a coma for nearly 6 months. Oh, wow. So they put her into a coma, and she was there like that for 6 months. And then she died from lobar pneumonia on July 26th at the age of 22. So she was not brain dead, because I think they probably, I don't know if they would have kept her alive for that long. 6 months is a long time to be on life support. But she was in a coma for 6 months, so they found her in the bathtub. So she was, her heart was still beating, she was still breathing, I guess. I don't really know the full extent, but yeah, so isn't that sad? So she died in a really similar way to her mom 3 years later. So yeah, so that was the last person I had for the list. I do have a tiny list of, like you said, honorable mentions. So other famous people who supposedly died on the toilet. Lenny Bruce, he was a stand-up comedian.
Oh my God, wait, do you watch Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
Yes.
He's a huge character. He's a huge feature on that show.
Yeah. See, so there's going to be some names in here that people know. Some of them maybe not, but if you want to look up for yourself and look into it further. But these are all people that supposedly died on the actual toilet.
Wow.
So, yeah, Lenny Bruce, he was a stand-up comedian. He died officially, cause of death was a drug overdose. Evelyn Waugh, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, W-A-U-G-H. She was a British writer. She died from cause of death, her official cause of death was congestive heart failure. Catherine the Great, the Empress of Russia.
No way!
Yes. She, official cause of death, supposedly is stroke.
On the toilet, wow.
Yeah. Don Simpson, he's a film producer and screenwriter. Drug overdose for him as well. Jim Morrison, everybody I feel like knows Jim Morrison, songwriter, singer for The Doors. Heart failure for him, which I'm sure there's probably a lot of these people, I'm sure drugs and alcohol played a part, especially for these people in the music industry. But the official cause of death is heart failure for him. Marcus Aurelius, Antoninus, Roman emperor.
No way!
He was assassinated on the toilet.
Oh my God! So wait, there was a kid who was shot on the toilet.
Yeah, he was assassinated on the toilet. So he wasn't. They think because they think he was literally stabbed while he was on the shitter. So yeah, those are the last honorable mentions. All noteworthy, so if anybody wants to look those up for yourselves, please do that. We can leave this information on our website. But yeah, do you have any final questions for all these noteworthy deaths on the toilet?
No, some of this was definitely informative. Some of them were surprising for sure. I definitely want to make a point to give our condolences to the people who survived them, their families, their friends, people who do know these celebrities or were related to them or involved in finding them, deepest condolences for that, because it is sad. But yeah, this is very, very interesting. I think this was a great episode. Like Kristen said, message us on Instagram. You can email us, and if you have any thoughts about it, if you want to chat about it or want us to bring something up in our next recording, please leave a note.